And now it's my great pleasure to introduce the keynote speaker for today. He holds a PhD from the University of Bristol, an MSc in economics from the University of Swansea, an MA in Islamic Sciences from the University of Münster. Currently, he is the managing director of Global Impact Institute. He's also a visiting lecturer at ESCP Business School. He has served as an associated professor at the University Rovira I Virgili. Now, I have had the privilege to work with him by 2 EU projects, and I can personally attest to his dedication and also expertise. He has made his passion for internationalization of higher education to his life mission, and he is trying to bring the global perspective, among others, to the academia. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you all. If you had one chance, one opportunity, that are the words of a great philosopher of these days. Anybody knows who that is? Eminem. And what it is, you know probably the 8 Mile, what it is about going your way, doing what everybody thinks is impossible, succeeding but also accepting failure on the way. I will come back to that. You will know why I say that. What I will talk about is internationalization and impact, and I will talk about also your alliance, of course. But one thing I have to say, first of all, internationalization is not a means and a goal in itself. Just to travel somewhere, just to do something, is not a goal. It's only an instrument. And I think this has been made very clear by all 3 of you already. It's an instrument to make life better for most people. And I would like to delve into some things. You have to switch to my presentation, actually. I just said, did I not just say, I would love to see something not working out, because that's when creativity sets in, and you're thinking, what can I say now, until they figure it out they are too fast for that. So next time. We are not 5 minutes to 12 o'clock, we are 5 seconds to 12 o'clock. When it comes to a lot of challenges that we are facing nowadays, and that is my point of internationalization. I will not talk about internationalization in terms of, oh yeah, make students travel around a bit, no, auberge espagnole, make academics have nice meetings on conferences, focus on the academic. No, universities are about service for society. And the society right now is literally drowning in different challenges. The first one, we have democracy under attack. We have violence, we have war in Europe. If anybody had told me, a baby boomer, that I would see war again after we solved the Cold War, I would have said, you're crazy. But we also have democracy under attack. We have people who just storm into parliament, who shoot politicians. We have politicians who initiate these things. We have a wild society right now which sees a huge gap, a widening gap of 2 parts in the society everywhere. And this is posing big, big problems. We have another big challenge ahead. I don't know who of you is like me, a science fiction freak, but 2042 is the predicted year of the singularity. Anybody knows what that is, the singularity? That's the moment when the artificial intelligence supersedes all human intelligence combined. Skynet, so to speak. That's the challenge. But also when you look into the last 8 months of KI or AI development, you see how the development in technology is so much faster than anything we are used to. We are very slow in our changes, but technology is not, and there will be a lot of things happening. And the biggest challenge of all is climate change. Who of you is familiar with it? I love this tool. I have to... No. Go back. There you are. Who of you knows what this here is? Anybody? This here is the death zone. Within the next 30 years, how it is developing right now, this will be the zone where the average temperature and humidity is so high that you cannot sweat anymore. So you cannot control and regulate your body temperature and you just die. So either you live underground or you migrate. If this goes on as it is, we will have 3.5 billion people being climate refugees. Okay? Doomsday. No, but this is the real challenge. Okay, this is what we are facing as a society. And then this has consequences also in Austria. You know, here, that's what the glacier looked like in 2005. It was here, it's gone. 50% have vanished already. And we have a lot of other problems you are very well aware of, the erosion issues. We have heavy rain, everything is getting extreme, right? We have another one. I am a very good example of that. Hello here, I'm a baby boomer. So I'm your problem, okay? Because I will live not as long as my female partners in the boomer generation, but long enough to cause problems for you in terms of the aging society. But this is much more dramatic than we think. This was the amount of people of an age 60 or higher globally. This is the case at 2100 and this is at 2050. So we are changing dramatically. Today I'm not talking about the opportunities which are also in that, of different life cycles of learning and so forth, but you here, particularly the ladies, you have an average life expectation close to 100 years. That changes an awful lot in all kinds of aspects. And in Austria, this is the dramatic situation that we see. This is where we are, and this will be the situation later. We will have very small percentage of prospective students in that certain age group and a lot of old people. We also, here in Carinthia, you have the issue that the prediction of your demographic check that had been done here in 2020 said there's even a likeliness of a drop in population. There's a drastic drop in this region for the age group. You might already have an idea where I'm going to, because I will not leave with the problems, I just want to point them out. Why is it a problem? Sadly, there's not the same kind of project, or I'm not aware of, something that the CHE is doing in Germany, which is a monitor of where universities draw students from. And you can really put that down that in the end, 80% of students at a University of Applied Science come from an area of around 50 kilometers or less, depending on how the travel opportunities are. So you are very, very bound as a University of Applied Science by the demographic situation in your area, okay? Also, this is the development of your domestic students in the moment, as far as I saw the data, and I tried to do some prediction on the base of the data that I've seen for the development of the population. So we can expect a drop in the market, let's put it like that, that's for Joachim basically, the market of students. So what I think is these changes require us, you, the society, to change and create impact. Impact in the sense of change, of making something different from what it is right now. Because that's all that impact is. It's a big word right now. Basically it just means from point A to point B, there's a difference. And that's where we have to go to. I want to give you a short example on international students and why they are not a problem, they are a solution. First of all, The middle class is growing globally, massively. What is the main interest of middle class parents? Anybody an idea? Education of children. I learned that, by the way, from comedians. You have to repeat what the audience says. So then, yeah. So this is a market. These are people who want to look for proper education of their kids. Second thing to know, people who go for study abroad, the higher the degree they go for, the more likely they stay, if they are allowed to. We should talk to all our ministers of interior because they have different ideas than the Minister of Trade, Finance, and International Relations on that. There's an opportunity. This is how it develops right now in terms of predictions. And the vast majority of people who are on the level to study are not in Europe. They are not in the United States. They are in Asia and Africa. The clever future lies in Asia and Africa. Also something that the German car producers should learn, but you know, that's a different story for a different presentation. So basically what I want to say is, stop considering international students to be a burden, a problem. They have issues. We have to solve their issues. They are your solution. But it's not like you can just simply replace a student from the next village by a student from a different country. You made that very, very nicely clear. And it's not only language. It's just simply that, of course, if I have a different customer, and let's face it, Generation Z, and then we turn to the Greek alphabet now, we have then alpha, beta, gamma, delta generations, have different attitudes and opinions. And it's not our purpose to move them back to what I thought was maybe the way I was educated, which could have been better. But it's this, and here that you have the opportunity at the FH Kärnten. You stabilize the population, you stabilized more or less the percentages. But Peter, if you want to counteract what happens in Kärnten, first of all, hope that your governor, when he gets the wine, that he also brings in a lot of people who reside here and produce kids, because you need just more kids. But you also can use international students to counterbalance this very well. It just comes as a price, but they are solutions. We all are solutions in other countries for the problems, because we can tell people how we perceive what happens in the country. We can teach them how it is to have a different glass on when you look at your own society. They can talk about the climate effects. You know, when you look at your country, your ancestors didn't think that half of their country might drown pretty soon, or that your country might have a drought for 50 years. I was in Italy. There are places where they didn't have rain now for 5 years. So what I call internationalization for society, which is actually one of the great things in the ACE2 network, I loved Work Package 4. That's one thing that you can address. You can widen the horizon. You can bring in qualified workforce. There's a lot of aspects. I don't have to read. You can read for yourself. There are a lot of pluses from having people from a different background in your group. You study differently. You suddenly see that not everything is the way you thought it always has to be. That changes you, and you can never change back. That's the good thing. But what matters most is impact. It doesn't help to just recruit hundreds of students from one country, put them in a classroom and hope for the best. You will have an impact, just not a positive one. We did years back the first ever Erasmus impact study, real scientific study on the real measurable impact on personality. First news is, yes, you have a significant measurable. For medical researchers, we used Cohen's d for effect size. You can really measure a difference. But bad news, also quite a lot of people have a negative impact. Because they go abroad and they think, yeah, it's as terrible as I thought it would be. So the number of students, no impact. The number of exchange agreements, no impact. The amount of tuition fees you raise have no impact on any of the big things. Those are just numbers. None of that matters. Instead, what matters is when you address the needs of people, when you ask people for their needs, when you figure out, it's basically like every business, or for politicians. I mean, when your governor meets, when you meet entrepreneurs from the region, you don't tell them how they should behave, you ask them what they need. And then you figure out, I guess, what politics can do to make their life easier. Students are the entrepreneurs in your classroom, nothing else. And you need to control the effects. That's my job. And I tell you very often, it's not done. People just hope for the best. Send people abroad and say, they will get better people. No, not necessarily. Not if you don't measure it. And the big point is, you can only do that when you develop something that I call a global impact mindset. When you educate people in your classroom that go out and look at the world in a way that they say, I'm a small wheel which matters, and I am not just here in Carinthia doing my thing, but what I do here has an impact somewhere else. And what happens somewhere else has an impact on me. None of you will take a job which is not to some extent international. Nobody. There are no jobs which are essentially only national anymore. How do you do that? Because this is what you need. It means that you adapt differences. And that is hard for all of us. But that's what you have to do in the classroom as an academic, as an administrator with your students, as a student with other students. You have to adapt to differences. You have to see the concept of diversity much deeper. That is also, every person who is different is diverse in their way. And that makes teaching harder, but also bloody much more interesting. You know? On the other hand, you need an impact mindset. We need all to look at, it doesn't matter what I do. I need to know what I achieve with my action. I need to check that. I need to not assume that what I do has a positive impact. If I teach just with the opinion that when I teach it's fine, they love it, you know, because I think it's great, chances are it's not. And this is something that is not there yet in many institutions, in many of us, in me every day. Because we always have to reassess ourselves. You know, every single day when we work, right, we have to look, did I achieve what I wanted to achieve? Go back to that, measure it in some way. There are different ways to do it, but I always say, somebody who tells me you cannot measure, that's very often, you know, I'm also, you know, part-time professor, so if professors tell me, you cannot measure what I do, I say, yeah, I bet I can. But, I say, the number alone also doesn't tell me enough. I have to understand why it is like that, so we have also to have a qualitative aspect to it. But nobody should tell me you cannot measure. You can always measure. And this leads me to the thing which I'm still flashed. I went here and I have this intro presentation today. And I'm honest, okay? I came here, I've seen a lot of networks. Same thing. I've seen a lot of things. I expected, yeah, I see a standard presentation. I will be super underwhelmed. I will be bored. I do my emails. I did not look at my emails 1 minute. Because not only this activity here is different from many I've seen, the University Alliance you are representing is very different. Because you have very exciting work packages, you have them thought through in a way that I have not seen in many alliances, and you have an idea about the societal impact. My favorite, I come to that in a second, is in that respect the work package 4. Here, I leave that to you, but the important thing is, when you look at the philosophy of the international alliances, Their idea was to change society. Their idea is that a combination of a few can make a much bigger impact than each of them in their country. And they explicitly say, here, there, contribute to solving global societal issues. So there we are. So not only do I like to talk about the problems the world has, it also matters. That's a nice side effect. But what is the situation in Austria? Just briefly, I mean, you know it, but maybe not everybody else. So far, 17 are in, 2 as coordinators, but only you managed it in 2024. You also already said that. And I know a lot who try to get in because it is the last round. That's at least what the EU says at this moment. Wait and see. I could not find numbers on the students involved, but it's a pretty big group. For me, I see the network really solving or addressing all the 4 aspects that I find relevant. And I learned a lot from your presentations because I also forgot some. I just wanted to focus on the big ones. I think you have even work packages for all of them. Yeah? You have the AI in, you have democracy under attack is for me under the work package 4 so much, but also the aging societies in, and for sure the climate change. So it is a way to do it. I think it is a great way to go for my concept of the global mindset, because there are many activities you can do, all the exchanges you were mentioning and everything. But in essence, to do this here, if you can manage to create an ACE to Europe environment, that people come to the institution and immediately feel this is not a Corinthian, not a Portuguese, not whatever university, this is something different. This is something, it's international at every point. That is what I see, what is a huge advantage of this network that you can generate from it. And as I said, work package 4, I love it. I've tried to focus on that at one point. I think what you really should do, because I honestly are not so sure that so many of the existing networks, alliances, do it that much, is to really have an impact orientation. I've seen that in your work package 8, if I get it right. You have good focus already on the long part. Make everything count. Measure, 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 and use it for, like every company does it, use it for progress. That's for me the important thing. So basically, to put it short, is what you want is to make every member of this University of Applied Science and all the members in the ACE community as well, every graduate and every citizen of the region a global citizen. That is for me the key point. I cannot tell you what it means yet, because I would make a lot more money if I knew that. But that's the goal. What you need is something very simple, a good theory of change, and above else, a culture for tolerance of failure. I'm a German, okay? In Germany, failure is unacceptable. That's why you have a culture of guilt very often in situations. So you avoid making mistakes. Where's my colleague from Ingolstadt? Oh, I thought he would, whatever. He could have maybe commented on it, but it's very often a culture of guilt. You try to avoid mistakes, and that's a problem. So please have tolerance for failure. Try stuff, and if you cannot make it, try something else. That's, for me, that's crucial in this whole thing. This is just an example of how I would see it, that you say, well, if these are the things we want to address, we have to look at the impacts that change this, and we have to look at how our actions contribute to the impact. Slight thing, I mentioned it to you, I just want to say it. Basically, impact is like Heisenberg. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. You know where the electron is or how fast it is. You cannot know both at the same time. Impact is a blurred thing. Like, let's say, you sit here now, and my talk has an impact on you. I hope a positive one, but maybe that is because you had a great lunch. And you maybe think it's terrible, and that's maybe at it because you didn't have lunch yet. You know? So we are not simple creatures. A lot of things contribute to the impact, but we can try to fence it in and try to understand it by measuring it from different sides. What it needs, and that's why I love, if something goes wrong. If something goes wrong, I have to step out of my comfort zone. I'm right now totally in my comfort zone, okay? Totally. So that's not good, because I cannot develop. So I need to challenge myself, or you need to challenge me, to step out of it to become better. And I think that is very important for you now. You basically pushed yourself out of the comfort zone with this alliance, because there is no way in heaven or hell that you can do what you did before and go on. That's over. You know, your life before the alliance, gone. Yeah. So I think this is something that one has to consider. You can never go back. It's impossible to go back. But it's also for those people who made a bad experience. It's impossible to go back and do as if you did not make the bad experience. So when you now go into the projects, the most important thing is, before you push people into an action, 120 trainings? Juan, ¿estás serioso? It's recorded, right? So I cannot use the words I would normally use. It's a lot. Let's put it like that. So the risk is you put a lot of people in these trainings. They go in because they are forced to go in, because Peter came and said, you know, it's your choice to go in. If not, no salary. No, you know what I mean? So if you push people by mass into activities they don't buy into, you will have a negative effect. So before you do it, you really have to think about, how can we generate buy-in? How can we love people? Peter, I do you a favor, I bring in the Tom Sawyer principle. Yes, I give it. Who of you knows Tom Sawyer? Yeah, no you don't. Who of you read it when you were young? Who of you read it when you were an adult? Yeah, makes a huge difference. It's one of the cleverest books ever written. There's this situation when Aunt Polly on a Sunday asked Tom Sawyer to paint her fence in Mississippi in summer, 30 degrees, 90% humidity, terrible. Every normal boy would have been like, oh, what the hell? And would do it like this. Tom Sawyer stands there and says, paints like, you know, it's the best thing in the world. Why? Because he knows the fence is on the way to the river. So on Sunday, every boy will pass on that path to go swimming. So within a few minutes, the first boy passes by, looks at Tom and says, are you stupid? You're painting a fence? We go swimming. And he said, I can swim all day, but you know how satisfying this is? Look, it gets so wide. It's so beautiful. Oh, sure. It's so beautiful. It's the best ever. After a few minutes, the boy looks and says, can I try? Now, most of us would have said, yeah, here, try. No. As a business person, make it a scarce commodity. So he asks, what you give me for it, so that I allow you to paint? He gives him a rubber or something, I don't know, something small. They are poor kids, you know. He takes that, lies down on the grass, the boy paints, and he says, only 10 minutes. So it makes it again scarce. Why 10 minutes? Because average, every 5 minutes a boy passes by. Within 5 minutes, the next boy comes and another one, and the next boy does not ask Tom what he's doing and why. He asks the other boy who paid for painting. And the other boy sells the painting to the next boy because he's so enthused, because he paid for it, because it's great. So that goes on. There's a line of guys waiting. At the end of the day, the fence is painted 3 times. Tom Sawyer worked 5 minutes, made a fortune in small things, and about 20 to 50 boys are super happy because they spend 5 to 10 minutes on a useful, purposeful thing and then went swimming. Win, win, win. And this principle is what you need in the alliance. You need to get the first people who are convinced and who buy in. And those are the next ones who tell their colleagues, their friends, how great it is to do it again. I see that with students all the time. When we ask students on evaluations, they come back. We do monitoring in the Czech Republic for the National Agency for on Internationalization at universities. And we ask them, how many people did you tell about your experience? And did you motivate to go abroad? Every single one of them motivated at least 2 to 5 people. So, and that's where I want to close. I think I'm probably in time. If not, tough luck. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's not about doing things, you know? It's not administration. It's not about, this is my task, I mean, Alexandra, if you just say, oh yeah, we did the conference, everybody was there, it means nothing. But if afterwards you go home and you change your institution, you change your life, your friends or whatever, then you have impact. And that matters not only for university work, that matters for each and every one of you on each and every decision you make in your life. You know, 20 years I was running for career, not money. I was in the wrong field for that, even in consultancy, but I was looking for career, importance, relevance. Now I go for happiness. And what makes me happy is when the people I work with are happy. That's what makes me happy, and that's the same for you. You are for sure the happiest when the people you are with are happy. You know, Peter will be super happy when next time the governor comes, gets his wine, and he's like, yeah? So that's the point. That's what it all is about. And internationalization is just such an easy way to be happy. So that's what I want to leave you with. Make an impact because it makes you happy, and when it makes you happy, all your people around you will be like, finally. Yeah? So with that, I just thank you for the opportunity to say something. I wish you a great time. I think it's now time. I think I can go home now. Thank you. Bye.